Good morning, everyone. I am Indranuj and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, I am going to discuss about Romantic Age and Romantic poetry, to be precise, and the essential characteristics of Romantic poetry and how it is differentiated from the poetry which characterized the Age of Reason, the Neoclassical and Restoration Age. So initially I am going to deal with the basics of Romantic Age, and then I will progress into some of the romantic poems written by the five great romantic poets. So let us come to the fact, who are the five great romantic poets? So the five great romantic poets are Lord Byron, William Wordsworth, Samuel Taylor Coleridge, P.B. Shelley, and John Keats. So they are the five great romantic poets, and before them there is William Blake, but William Blake comes under the pre-romantics actually. So if we consider the poetry collections by William Blake, Songs of Innocence and Songs of Experience, then we will probably get the idea that the Songs of Innocence and Songs of Experience, these are the literary works of the pre-romantic age. So let us come to the point, the characteristics of romantic age, the five great romantic poets, and the essential features of romantic poetry. So if we consider the previous age, the Age of Reason, the also known as the Neoclassical and Restoration Age, so there we find that during those days actually the not only poetry but all the literary works, they were characterized by a sense of rationality, the use of reason and rationality, and emotion had no place in the literature of the Neoclassical and Restoration Age. Means people applied their rational faculty, their reason, their reasoning ability in each and every walk of life, and it is reflected in the literature of that age. So we can take for example Alexander Pope's The Rape of the Lock, then John Dryden's Macflecknoe, so Oliver Goldsmith's She Stoops to Conquer. So in all these works we can find the prevalence of reason and rationality, the rational faculty of the intellect, the reasoning ability. For example, in The Rape of the Lock, what can we gather the idea, the general idea about that age, that reason, intellect, rationality, reasoning ability, and no space for emotion and affection, and of course the use of practical reality. All these things were prevalent in the Age of Reason, the Neoclassical and Restoration Age, and there the most trivial incident of the cutting of a lock from the lock of hair from Belinda, a lock from Belinda's hair, it triggered a massive political and social it triggered a massive political and social controversy. So, and The Rape of the Lock is also a mock heroic poetry, a mock epic, and if we keep aside the Rape of the Lock and Dryden's Macfleck No or Pope's The Dunciad, another work by Alexander Pope, at one side, and we compare and contrast these works with the poems of Romantic Age, we can find the difference. So coming to the Romantic Age, what can we decipher from the literature, the poetry of Romantic Age? So, the features of Romantic Age and obviously of Romantic poetry. Emotion and passion. The critique of progress. So progress is associated with the use of rationality, the use of science, scientific faculty of human beings. So which actually dominated the age of reason. But in Romantic Age we can find that the people are opposing the idea of progress. A return to the past, another feature of Romantic Age. Then the awe of nature, the adoration for nature. A return to nature, to be precise, a return to nature. From the trivialities of life, from the complexities, the practical realities of life, there is a return to the simplistic aspects, the simplicity, the rustic life, the rustic way of life as compared to the city life. So a return to nature. And we find Wordsworth, Coleridge, Shelley, Keats, each and every one of them composing poems keeping nature as the background. Then idealization of women, it comes under the part of feminism definitely. And Byron's poem She Walks in Beauty, right? She Walks in Beauty by Lord Byron. There we can find the idealization of women. I would come to that later when I would discuss about Lord Byron. Then another feature of Romantic Age is the purity of childhood, the innocence. As I said, that William Blake, songs of innocence and songs of experience. So in these collections, how is Blake idealizing childhood, right? So that is the purity of childhood. Although Blake comes under the banner of pre-romantics, still pre-romantic poetry is the starting point of romantic poetry. So we can consider the pre-romantic poems of William Blake an integral part of the beginning of Romantic Age. Then search for subjective truths and celebration of the individual. The individualistic aspects of man are celebrated. What human beings are capable of. Exercising their imagination, the imaginative power, the creative power, the creativity of the soul, the free spirit. And that is what characterizes Romantic Age, and it is the celebration of the individualistic aspects of man is another most important feature. It is one of the most important features of Romantic Age. So with this we come to a general introduction of the Romantic Age, and since we are discussing about P.B. Shelley and Shelley's poem Ode to the West Wind, so we will be discussing a few more poems by some other romantic poets and also by P.B. Shelley, which the theme of these poems actually are quite similar to or insimilar to Ode to the West Wind in some aspects. And then we would come to the main poem in the next part of the lecture. So, what is Romanticism according to P.B. Shelley? The main themes of Romanticism according to P.B. Shelley are restlessness and brooding, longing for the past, the brooding of the soul, the restlessness of the human mind. Then rebellion against authority, obviously that there was a prevalence of authority, the rational authority in the age of reason, but now as we have approached the Romantic Age, the conception, the perception of the readers have changed, and Shelley is advocating this rebellion against authority. Then interchange with nature, as I said, the return to nature, obviously. Then the power of the visionary imagination, the capability to exert oneself, one's creative power, to create things, right? And it is impossible, the creative power of human beings, it is impossible to exercise this creative power without a communion with nature. Then there is also the pursuit of ideal love, the untamed spirit ever in search of freedom. We will find that in Ode to the West Wind, also in the poem Ode to a Nightingale by John Keats, Ode on a Grecian Urn by Keats. There also we will find the untamed spirit of human beings. In Ode to the West Wind itself symbolizes this untamed spirit, the free spirit of human beings, right? So we will get to that when we begin the poem. Okay. So, and obviously the season autumn is described in Ode to the West Wind by Shelley. So another poem by another poet, John Keats. Keats' poem To Autumn or Ode to Autumn. There Keats praises the abundance, the harvest of the season autumn, and there also Keats describes the transition to winter, how autumn undergoes a transition into winter, and winter gives advent to spring. So yes, the cycle of nature. This also comes in the romantic poems, and mainly by Shelley and Keats. In these poems we will find the transition of nature and how nature is associated with each and every aspect of human life and death. So another example of the untamed spirit which Shelley advocates, his poem in his poem To a Skylark. So the blithe spirit, B-L-I-T-H-E, the untamed spirit. So here the poet says, Shelley says, the blithe essence of the singing skylark, and human beings would never be able to achieve that eternal peace. That is my point. So that Shelley says that human beings would never be able to achieve the eternal peace. And Keats also echoes the similar feeling, the similar note in Ode to a Nightingale, the free spirit of the nightingale, the birds, the nightingale, the untamed spirit which human beings would never be able to attain. So now we would come to the poem Ode to the West Wind by Shelley, and I will be beginning this poem in the next part of my lecture from stanza 1, and how Shelley describes the dual aspect of the west wind, destroyer and preserver, the association of west wind with the cycle of life and death, birth and regeneration of human life, and also the how Shelley praises nature, the power of nature, the immense power of nature, what nature can do, and how human beings and all the other aspects of our atmosphere, living and non-living aspects, they are just powerless in front of nature. And the west wind is a demonstration, obviously, of the fearful, the forceful aspect of nature, the destroyer as well as the preserver. Right. So in our the next part of my video, I will be dealing with Shelley's poem Ode to the West Wind. So I hope you have understood my lecture for today, the introductory video, and I hope you have liked it also. So wait for the next part. I will be starting it very soon. Thank you so much.